to learn to knit for ages, but I've always been under the impression, like many people, that to learn to knit you've got to start by knitting a scarf, and I've never had any interest in knitting a scarf. But then all of that changed the other day when I came across a TikTok of a girl who said that the best way to learn to knit is to actually knit something that you want to wear. So that's what I've decided to do this month. While I've never actually knitted anything before, I do have some knitting knowledge because I used to work in a fabric and craft shop called Abercan, which had a wool department, and I had to learn pretty fast what it all meant because I'd get thrown on there with no experience. I also know how to sew. I've been sewing for like nearly 10 years now, so I have a good idea about garment construction, which I hope will help me. Decided for my first project I'm going to knit a sweater vest. I'll put the pattern that I'm using on screen now. I just went on the Hobbycraft website and found a PDF pattern that looked doable for a beginner. This is the wool I'm using. It's the colour grape and it's Wendy Supreme double knit. I purely just chose the wool based on colour and cheapness. I don't know if this is a good wool or not. It was just cheap and a nice colour. So my idea is to knit this sweater vest, and then I want to use duplicate stitching to do a little design on the front. So for that design I've got this green colour. I just wanted to do something to like spice up the sweater vest a bit, but obviously that's at the very end. Obviously the first thing that I had to do was learn the stitches, and so I made a few little swatches. This one I was just practicing ribbing or rib stitch, casting on and casting off, and also a bit of stocking in the middle as well. And then I did actually make the gauge swatch as instructed by the pattern because it is my first go, so I wanted to do it properly, and I think that turned out really well. I think my stitches are quite neat, if I do say so, based on my absolute lack of experience. After making these little swatches, I just decided to get stuck in, and I'll show you what I have so far. It's not a lot. The way this pattern works is that you make the back and then you make the front and then you knit them together and do the neckline and whatnot. So I'm starting with the back panel, and all I've got so far is a little bit of ribbing. I'm not gonna lie, I have already messed up the ribbing. As you can see on this side, in one of the first few rows I got my knits and purls mixed up at some point along the way, and then I ended up ending the row on a purl when it should have been a knit, and it was a whole fiasco. But I decided to just keep going, and it's worked itself back out again because this is my first project, so obviously I am probably going to make more mistakes along the way. I don't think it's going to be too noticeable once it's all knitted together. Also, this is the back piece. If I'd done this on the front piece, I probably would have unraveled it. I haven't dropped any stitches. The ribbing's going well except for that one row. I've got to get this to 7 centimeters, and then it's all stocking stitch from there, and then obviously like shaping the armholes and stuff, which I'm excited for. I'm hoping I can get this done in a month. I don't know if that's ambitious. I don't know if that would be too much time. We'll see. But I can definitely already feel that I'm getting faster with the stitches, and also I'm getting less confused about when to knit and when to purl. If anything, this mistake is just a constant reminder that I need to pay more attention when doing the ribbing. Me and my boyfriend have been rewatching Kitchen Nightmares USA, and I definitely got too involved in the episode, which is how this happened. Anyway, I'll film another update once I've got more done, but at the moment I'm feeling confident. Hello knitting vlog, I've got an update for you. I'm in my new house, finally. So I had to take a little break from the knitting over the month of April because I was moving and whatever, but finally back at it. And I have finished the back panel of the sweater vest. I'm just holding it against myself for like illustrative purposes, but this is the back. I made a few mistakes along the way. Obviously I already said I messed up the ribbing, and I had this bit here where I did a knit instead of a purl, or a purl instead of a knit, but I'm so happy with it so far. I don't really care about the mistakes because they're only minor. It hasn't like affected the shape of it or the overall project. It just looks a bit bumpy. And then at the moment I'm in the process of doing the front, which so far has been like the same pattern as the back, but once I get to the armholes I think the shaping is a bit different, and I haven't made any mistakes on this one so far. Obviously the front I'm more concerned about having mistakes on because that's what you see. Whatever's in the back is none of my business, which is also why I don't really care about the few mistakes in the back. But yeah, so far so good. I'll do an update whenever I have finished the front panel as well, because then I get to sew it together at the sides and the shoulders, and then do the ribbing around the neck and the armholes, which I'm kind of scared about because that seems like, how the hell am I going to do that with straight needles? But the pattern says you only need straight needles, so I bet when I update I'll have figured out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing. It's so fun having a garden to do things in now, like knitting, and I swear the sunshine was actually helping me to knit faster. I was also listening to the audiobook of Valis by Philip K. Dick, in case you're wondering. The rest of the front panel all came together perfectly and I didn't make a single mistake. Hell yeah! Here's just a close-up of everything. Finishing both of the panels gave me such a natural high. At times it did feel like it was dragging a bit, like in the bulk of all the stockinette stitches, but when I saw the two panels I knew it was all worth it. I was using some copper wire that I had lying around as some little DIY stitch holders. So this is where we're up to now. It's looking pretty crazy. For some reason I was under the impression that I would have to sew both the shoulders together and then like knit the ribbed neckline in the round. I guess just because that's how you construct a sewn garment, but it's actually a lot easier than that. You just sew together one shoulder seam. So there's the right shoulder, I just did a mattress stitch, and then you knit all the ribbing and then you sew up the other shoulder, and then when you do that, that's what makes it a circle, if that makes sense. And then you do the same kind of thing for the armholes. So it does look a bit confusing at the moment, but I think it will all come together in the end. So far the most difficult thing that I've had to do is pick up the stitches, because obviously I did the front panel, the back panel, and then I had some stitches on a stitch holder, but then I also had to pick up some stitches, and oh my god, just getting this back on a needle took me like an hour and a half. I just couldn't get my head around it. I had to keep unraveling it, but I finally worked out how to pick up stitches, and so I think hopefully the armholes won't take as long, and then we should be finished quite soon. Happy Whip Wednesday to all who celebrate. I've actually just finished my first ever knitting project, so we're going to try it on together. By finish, I mean I haven't blocked it or woven in the ends, but it's wearable. So let's try it on. It looks kind of silly over my t-shirt. It's supposed to be worn as like a top itself, but I couldn't be bothered taking off my t-shirt, so whatever. I think it's turned out really well. That's what the underarm looks like, and the back. There are a few mistakes on the back, but I don't really mind because it's on the back. I'm just so impressed that I've made this. Let me stand up. Wow. I'm so impressed that I've made this all by myself, and it was my first ever go at knitting. I need to block it and weave in all of these ends, but I also want to do a little like duplicate stitch design on the front. I don't know if I should do that before or after blocking. I feel like it probably doesn't matter that much. Yeah, I'm so happy with how this has turned out. It did take me a while because I've been in the middle of moving house, so I think I could have done it quicker if I didn't have all that to deal with. And I'm definitely going to do another knitting project soon. Stay tuned to see what it looks like when it's blocked and has the little design on the front. It's going to be a really cute design. Wow, look at that wearable garment. Weaving in the ends was pretty tedious. You girlies on Knit Talk aren't lying about that. I just googled how to do it, and I'd like to give a shout out to all of the old ladies on YouTube who make knitting videos, because without you I would not be here. This is what it looked like on the inside. I think it's neat, but if it's not, let me know. Wow! We've got a finished sweater vest. Nearly. I've woven in all the ends, and I've also tried it on to make sure it fits, and it does. I only ended up using 2 balls of wool for this, and I bought 3. And I even have like quite a bit left over, so don't know what that means. I followed the directions of like how much wool to buy, but it ended up being significantly more than I needed. So obviously I need to block this, but before I do that, I'm gonna do a little design on the front in duplicate stitch. And I had the idea for this design like before I even embarked on making this sweater vest. This is the color of wool that the design is gonna be in. Look what a nice contrast that is together. And the idea is, so I've got this interesting ceramic piece that I found in Oxfam. I think it's supposed to be for olive oil because I think that is an oil brand. But I just love the colour and the shape of it. I just put flowers in it. I want to do like a little block colour drawing of this with a little flower coming out. Really simple. Like, looks like it was drawn on Microsoft Paint kind of vibes. Like super simple line art and colour. And yeah, I think that'll be a cute little design on the front of this. So first I need to do some sketches. Let's get drawing some ideas. This is the final little design that I came up with, and you guys, look how well I colour matched the colour of the sweater vest using just a few coloured pencils. I'm quite impressed with myself. I need to show you guys the crazy system that I came up with for doing the duplicate stitch on this. So I just uploaded a flat photo of the vest and a photo of my drawing into Canva, and then I put the opacity on the drawing down, and I literally drew in every individual little stitch of where I wanted it to go, so then eventually I could put the opacity completely down. And this was the guide that I used to do the entire duplicate stitch. I just started from the bottom and then like worked my way up, and then I used the safety pins as like anchor points so I could always keep track of where I was in the pattern. And it actually ended up working out really well, although I think this is like not the proper way that you should do it. I love how this turned out so much. I love how pixelated the drawing gets when it's translated into knitting, because as I said, I wanted it to be like a Microsoft Paint drawing. So the final step was to try and block this thing, and what I gathered online was that everyone kind of does it different ways, so I just kind of made up my own way. I just soaked it in some warm water with some dish soap and then rolled out all the excess water. And obviously I didn't have a blocking board, so I used this camping mat. It's a foam material, so I figured it would work the same way, and then just used my sewing pins to stretch it all out. And this DIY method did actually work. You guys, here is the finished vest. I'll put in some better photos and videos and stuff, because basically I'm trying to film with natural sunlight, but the sun is setting, so it's kind of dark in here. It turned out so well. I was worried that the blocking wouldn't do anything because I was using an acrylic wool, and I read online that blocking doesn't do anything to acrylic, but then some people were saying that it still does do something, so I thought I'd just give it a shot anyway. And it definitely did something, because the last time I tried this on, it was completely tight all the way around, and it's definitely loosened it up. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I'm definitely going to be wearing this. I think the only thing I would change is the shoulders are a little bit too wide, but obviously how was I supposed to know that? It was my first pattern. I think it's such like a cute 90s shape, like this with a midi skirt or a mini skirt and some boots. I think would be so cute for like spring or autumn. It is a little bit hot to be wearing it right now because it's like 25 degrees in the UK. I've got loads of wool left over somehow, so I think I'm going to try and knit something else to go with this. Thank you for joining me on my first knitting adventure. I'm sure there'll be many more to come.